very exciting guest. It's Mark Feehily of Westlife fame.
Hello there, how are you?
Hi Mark, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. It's been a busy few weeks for me, so it's fantastic to just be back in London, be back in the suit and the shirt, which I haven't worn in a while, because I've been doing a little bit of work in my house in Ireland, so I've been more sort of in the overalls and getting a bit kind of stuck in and a bit muddy and all that. So it's nice to kind of shave the beard off, get the suit on, and just be back in London really, and be seeing everyone in the industry again, and yeah, it's good fun.
Well, 12-year-old me is so excited right now.
Oh, really?
I was
Really?
like Westlife super fan galore.
So you're making me feel old then. Thank you.
Well, no, because that was only 6 years ago.
Okay, so that means even older.
But yeah, I mean, I was like, my room was a shrine. I went to all your concerts.
Well, I have to say, all the concerts up, so I assume you went to the Metro.
Yeah.
Arena, yeah, so all the concerts up there. You know, there's certain areas that just have a louder audience.
Yeah.
And I feel like the further north we went, the audiences got louder.
We are quite a loud bunch.
Yeah, Belfast, Glasgow, and Newcastle was always one of the. And Newcastle's kind of slightly bigger than some of the other arenas as well, as far as I remember. So, yeah, and Newcastle was actually the place that we played our very first ever arena tour, and we went from no gigs, no tours whatsoever, straight into arenas, and so that was very tough to go, because we had these in-ear monitors to deal with, and I mean, we had never heard a crowd really that big scream straight at us and sing our songs, but it meant that you couldn't quite hear yourself singing. So thanks for not listening to me sing and screaming. No, it was amazing. It was just a real big learning curve, and we didn't have much time to get used to it, you know.
I actually saw you when you were West Side.
Right, okay.
Remember that?
On tour with Boyzone, was it? Or the Smash Hits Paul Winners Party?
No, it was you were supporting Boyzone.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, I do remember very well. That was the first time we ever seen an arena crowd in real life. But yeah, I mean, we were big Boyzone fans, and they very much influenced us, along with the Backstreet Boys and Take That, to start a boy band in school. So to be on tour with them was great, and obviously Louis was our manager and he was their manager, so it was a very exciting time for us. Yeah, I remember I had a lot of very long coats that went right down to my ankles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was it like going straight from you're not even just doing little gigs and stuff, and then suddenly you're doing the arena tours and you've got to deal with that fame?
Well, basically, we met Louis literally on one Monday, and by the following Monday he had us supporting the Backstreet Boys in Dublin. So we went from our hometown Sligo, sort of dreaming our heads off and our arses off, you know, wanting to be like the Backstreet Boys, wanting to be like Boyzone, Take That, just complete dreamers, but also very, very serious about it at the same time. You know, if you give us even a tiny bit of a chance, we bite your hand off, sort of thing. And so somehow through Shane's mum, who grew up in the same place Louis grew up, we got in touch with Louis. So Shane and Keane went to meet him in a nightclub. It was actually Ronan Keaton's 21st birthday party, and he was like, I can't manage you, I don't have any time, but I'll help you find a manager. And so that was amazing. That would have been enough. And then 2 days later he was like, you need to get some clothes, you need to get in the train to Dublin, you're supporting the Backstreet Boys on Tuesday. And it was like, so we obviously, like, you know, screamed the roof off and ran around like maniacs, and then pretended to be composed and went to Dublin and tried to be as professional as we could.
What was it like?
Well, honestly, right, so the night we got up on the train, we went down to the arena, which is the RDS arena where the Backstreet Boys were playing, and we were literally like, you know, window lickers. We were like, we were looking in the windows to see if we could see them, and then we seen like this big 7-foot security guard, and finally we got like a tiny glimpse of one of them, Nick Carter or whoever, and we freaked out. We were like proper fangirl outside the windows. And then the next day for our sound check, we went in and we didn't think we were going to see them, and they were just like playing basketball in front of the stage as we sound checked. And actually, they were very un-starry, like, and un-Hollywood, like, or whatever. A few minutes later then, at catering, we were sitting down and we were like, oh my God, we might see them in here. Imagine if they came in. They came in and literally sat at the table with us, and there were all questions and talking to us. And so immediately they were very, very friendly and very nice. You know, Brian literally is like very Christian and very friendly and humble, and they were all great. And then they invited us out to an after-show party in a nightclub, and by the time they left, we were best mates. It was great.
That's so cool.
It really was so cool. And you know, I'm not name dropping. Like, we were mega fans of the Backstreet Boys, you know, above anyone in the world. And so when we met Louis, within 5 minutes, we were already kind of doing these crazy things, you know, and it just went on from there, really.
Yeah, 'cause that is just so mental how it just changed. Like, people say your life changes overnight, but that was quite literal.
Like, genuinely,
wasn't
we were
it?
plucked out of Sligo, you know, a small, lovely little town, but, you know, a small, quiet enough town in the west of Ireland, and we literally were plucked out of there by Louis and put on the stage with the Backstreet Boys, and honestly, the rest is kind of a blur in a way. I mean, I know
Yeah.
kind of what happened, but, you know, soon after we were meeting record companies that were flying over from England, all like Virgin and Sony and all these labels, and I was still in school doing my final exam, so it was like sort of two ends of the spectrum, you know. I remember
Yeah.
we were driving to Dublin, my dad drove us up to Dublin to meet Virgin Records in Dublin. It was the night before my English exam, and really oddly,
Did you pass?
I probably scraped it. Yeah, I did pass, but I don't know how much. I can't remember that. I conveniently forget the score that I got on my leaving cert, which is like the GCSEs. But so yeah, and I actually met my English teacher in like a service station, and it was the night before my English exam, where I should have been chained to the desk, and I wasn't, and he wasn't very impressed by me
No,
whatsoever.
I can't imagine.
Are you glad it happened that way, or do you wish it had built up?
Well, he was very much, to be honest with you, if there's a situation like whether it be the X Factor or like our situation that we had, you can go back and repeat your exams. If there's an opportunity there that potentially will never ever happen again, it would be insane not to seize the moment. You
Totally.
know, with things like school and exams, like anybody out there, if you don't get it, or if you fail it, or if you miss it, off the bat because you were doing something that might never happen again, you can just go back and do it again, and that's not an excuse for everyone to not bother their arse studying for their exams.
No, but you've got it
if there's
once
something
in a
there that
lifetime.
means you can't do it, you can do it again, you know.
Yeah. So what do you think of Louis as an X Factor judge then? Are you an X Factor fan?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's X Factor is sort of, I was watching the George Michael documentary the other night, and everyone was saying he's not just like an icon or sort of famous, he's in the blood of the nation, you know, and X Factor is sort of, you know, even people that don't watch it and don't like it are still talking about it, you know. They still see a bit of it. You can't sort of escape it in a way. But I don't personally want to escape it. I kind of enjoy it. I mean, I love good singers, and the beauty is no matter how many years the X Factor goes on for, every year someone new might come along, and that new Leona Lewis or whoever might just kind of come this year. And I think it's been a while since there has been like a Leona Lewis. There's been good singers and everything, but you know, it's been a while since somebody walks into the audition and you're like, oh my god, they're going to be huge, you know.
Yeah.
So as much as it's been going on for years and years, there's always that excitement or possibility that the person might walk in at any moment in time. And you know, look, Louis is funny. Louis is kind of half comedy and half very serious, and he takes what he does very seriously. And Louis effectively is a massive music fan himself, and he's a massive fan of singers and of songs. So as much as he does kind of say funny things and have a bit of a laugh, and he always looks like he's having fun, he's taking it very seriously behind it all. So I think it's a job that means a lot to him, and I think that people sometimes I think his kind of comedy side disarms you a little bit, and maybe people don't realise just how good he is at his job and how much he knows, you know, and he's a very good judge to be on his team.
He does get a bit of a stick sometimes, doesn't he? And there's been like a few years where people have questioned his decisions on taking certain people through to live shows, like Jedward and Wagner.
Yeah.
You know, what do you think about all that?
I think at the end of the day, if I was faced with a Jedward or somebody who was just a mediocre singer that kind of looked good, I'd pick Jedward, you know, every day of the week. I think first of all, the X Factor desperately needs that little bit of light-hearted entertainment factor in the mix. I think if it was entertainment kind of heavy and there wasn't enough singers, it'd sort of spoil the show. But I think it needs you know, there's all these serious dramatic moments and all these big huge ballads and everything, which are amazing, and they make the X Factor what it is. But at the same time, if you didn't have your kind of Jedward, your Honey G, you know, so on and so forth, I think the show would be at risk of people would sort of either get bored or you would I mean, I think the Honey G's and the Jedwards actually make the ballad singers even better, because it shows a bit of light and shade, and it's Saturday evening, people are having a few drinks watching the show, so I think a bit of crack in the mix isn't said the nun to the bishop. But yeah, no, a bit of fun in there is great for a bit of comedic relief, or lighter entertainment, and Jedward for very, very entertaining in my opinion, and in lots of other people's opinion too.
I mean, I think obviously the funny thing about acts like that is that they do last a long time in the contest, don't they? And you get people who are like, oh, the rubbish, there was better people who should have been put through instead. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people out there who are obviously voting for them, isn't there?
A lot of people that vote for them, a lot of people love them because they simply are entertaining. It's like what I always say about comedians, for instance, is that they make me laugh, they make me feel good, and therefore I love them, Comedians get stick sometimes as well, and a lot of people, it's a very taste-driven thing, and some people don't like, oh, I hate Russell Brand, I don't think he's funny at all or whatever. But for me, comedians make me feel good, and in the same way, I'm not calling these guys comedians, but there's a comedy factor to it. Like a Jedward or a Honey G make people feel good, and people like feeling good, and so they like those acts. And also, it's not always, like, singing and entertainment isn't always about the serious one. So it's I mean, why not? I'm just trying to think of examples here, but there's certain acts through the years that mightn't be the best singer, but they're a very good entertainer, and so it's not always about the big diva voice,
Look how well Ryland's done. He
Yeah,
was considered the joke act, wasn't he, the year he was on?
Yeah, I suppose the kind of novelty factor is there, but for me, as I say, the show would be more boring without these people. And actually, your Ryland, your Honey G, your Jedward, they're the ones that actually get everyone to tune in to see what they're going to do next,
Yeah.
And so without those people, you might miss out on, the people who are good singers, because people mightn't bother tuning in. So you need those acts in there that force people to just not be able to do anything but tune in to see what they're going to do next,
And what have you made this year? There's been sort of a push towards people doing their own original material, sort of writing their own songs. Do you think that's more likely to uncover some hidden gems through that way?
100%. I mean, I suppose we had, Simon and Louis were our record company and our manager, respectively, and Simon particularly obviously sees that 9 out of 10 or more even of the mainstream successful acts at the moment are they're either making their own music in their garage or their bedroom, or they're writing their own songs. At the moment, it's all about kind of quirkiness and different. It's everything but your stereotypical pop star, and I don't know how long that will last, but as it is lasting now, I think they've learnt. Simon and Lou would have very much frowned upon anybody writing their own songs or mentioning the word songwriting. That was that, like, you literally go up in flames if you mentioned songwriting to them when we first met them. But I think they've realised that actually you could miss out on an Adele, you could miss out on anybody like your Amy Winehouses and all these people. If Adele and Amy Winehouse were told you can't write songs, trust me, we've got better songs, I've got a producer in America, then we wouldn't have had them, and that would be an absolute travesty. So I think they've realised that there is going to be that diamond in the rough out there, and so they're obviously kind of tuned into that, and so they're allowing people to sing their own songs. I mean, to listen to 200 people in one day singing original songs could be a bit of a I can't think of a word that's not a curse to say that. A mind fook. Can I say that on this radio station?
Fine, okay. Fine.
Anyways, you know what I mean. I think as long as it doesn't kind of go into overkill and they're going crazy listening to 200 original songs a day, then they'll be fine. But those Irish lads that were on, the two brothers, there was two English lads as well that were brothers. Like, there's a few acts that I heard singing original songs this year, and they were fantastic.
Yeah.
And more entertaining than hearing, ordinary people or I Believe I Can Fly again.
Well, there's like a certain song every year, isn't there, or a certain artist that everyone like
I'm sure Ed Sheeran, exactly.
Everyone was doing Shape of You, weren't they, in auditions.
And the thing is, I can see why they all chose that, but unfortunately it's one of those songs, and every year there is, say, 4 or 5 songs like that everyone's bound to be singing.
Yeah.
That's why it's always good to have a second and a third song in your pocket in case, because I've seen situations where someone will start a song and be like, no, I was like, if you can't sing something else, then just leave, you know. And Louis and Simon have said that before. I don't have to show it on TV, but you know, it's always good to have a second and a third option.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you hear people sing your songs? Do you think you're more like overly critical, or how do you find that?
No, to be honest with you, if people start singing Westlife, I'm like, and they play a lot of Westlife in the background.
Yeah.
And I will notice immediately, even if it's just an instrumental. I just recognise our own music because I've, you know, heard them a billion times. But like I'll be sitting at home just chilling, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's my voice. You know, it's pretty. That's cool. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
It's always been good. Even in the thick of Westlife, if we were driving down the road and our song came on the radio or whatever, we'd all love it. You know,
well,
we've never lost that love for doing this. You know, it's been our dream, and we haven't just achieved our dreams. Like, right, okay, what's next? We love living right in that moment, all of us, and so yeah, I still get very excited.
I mean, obviously you're still performing quite a lot, and you're going on tour with Mariah Carey, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, so I've always been a big Mariah Carey fan. I'm very, very excited about that. It's a dream come true for me because I've always wanted to do a Christmas record as well, and I'm doing a Christmas EP that coincides with these gigs, and also...
What songs are going to be on it?
Well, they're all kind of... We're putting the finishing touches to it. So, I mean, put it this way, you're going to see a lot of... I don't have time, and I don't think anyone with a Christmas record... I mean, respect to Sia, who's had a lot longer than me to put her record together anyway, but the point being, she's releasing a full album of original Christmas songs. And that's great, you know, but probably going to take 3 or 4 years for people to even learn those songs, because Christmas is kind of quite a small window. So I certainly didn't want to go and spend months writing Christmas songs. I didn't have time anyway, because it was sort of slightly later in the day than normal when it all kind of came together. And so it's going to be standard Christmas songs, but ones that I love. I'm not just going to pick the top 5 most popular songs.
Yeah.
I've gone through hundreds of songs and picked the ones that I feel will best suit my voice. And it's definitely sort of soul, gospel and jazz tinged. When I say jazz, I mean sort of Jules Holland, Amy Winehouse kind of. It's got a touch of the Michael Bublé feel to it, without being like Rat Pack. It's more sort of jazz soul. There's a couple of up tempos on there that's very exciting, and I've got loads of, like, I've got a horn section, I've got backing singers, got a little mini gospel choir going on, so it's going to be a bit of everything. I've tried not to go for the complete and utter stereotypical ones,
the obvious ones.
Yeah, but in saying that, the songs are all, I think, pretty much all well known to everyone. There's one that there's one 50% of people will know straight away, and the other 50% won't. But I'm hoping the fact that it's such a beautiful, I mean, I can't believe I didn't even know it before I started doing research there about 6 months ago. I'll just tell you, it's called River by Joni Mitchell, and it's not even like, you know, it doesn't have Christmas all through the lyrics. It says Christmas like once or whatever, but it's just a beautiful song. I mean, I've fallen completely in love with it. It's such a beautiful piano ballad. But yeah, so that's the only one that people might not know. Some people will, some people won't, but the rest of them are all standards, you know, but done in my own sort of style.
I'm excited to hear it.
Thank you. I'll probably get one sent over when it's all wrapped up in a couple of weeks.
And what do you think it's going to be like to tour with Mariah then?
It's going to be great. I mean, you know, hopefully if the previous experiences are anything to go by, she's got a big sort of touring family on the road, and like it's pretty much the same people she's had, you know, from way back when we worked with her before, and you know, we all kind of remember each other and know each other, and I'm friends on Facebook with them and stuff like that. So
Mariah Carey's on Facebook.
Not Mariah, not Mariah. I'm talking about her team, her crew, the backing singers and stuff. But yeah, so apart from Mariah herself, I'll be seeing a lot of people that I haven't seen in years.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And also, you know, it's going to be good to see her too, because she's great, basically. I mean, when it comes to kind of Christmas, she kind of is the queen of Christmas, and you know, she has the massive song and her album, and I know these shows are going to be, I know they're kind of, I don't think they're like, I think the tickets flew out the door. I think there's a lot of people that are going to be very excited, because she's never actually brought the Christmas songs to the UK before. She's done tours and stuff here, but it's going to be the first time she's brought the Christmas thing, and I think she's got a whole sort of slightly different set of fans for that Christmas album than she does for her other stuff. So I'm going to be very excited to perform for that crowd, you know.
Definitely. And going back to X Factor, and speaking of live performances, there's going to be less live shows this year, isn't there? How many?
10 cut down to 6.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I think personally, over the years, you know, the format of the show has become so familiar to people that you could be at risk of people sitting at home knowing what's going to happen next every time, and that takes away a bit of the spontaneity and the excitement. So I think that these little changes that they make, and every year they change something up.
Yeah.
And I think these little changes just keep people on the edge of their seat, and it stops that kind of... they're familiar to the point where they know what's going to happen next, and that's kind of not very exciting. So changing stuff up is good, really, you know. I probably, if it was me running the show, which it obviously isn't, but if it was, I would but I would probably consider the idea of not doing the 6-chair thing again, because I was sitting with it quite a lot. It is brutal, you know, but I suppose the music industry is brutal, but more because I was sitting watching with quite a big group of people the other day, and it was good TV, you know, but I think even the people all around me, they all sort of knew that even though they don't get the chair, everyone was like, oh, he's definitely going to bring her back, and then he did bring her back, you know, so it's probably one of the things that maybe next year mightn't be there, you know.
Yeah, especially like Louis was really dramatic, wasn't it? His 6-chair.
Yeah, but they even announced before it happened that it was going to be dramatic because they knew. It
always is, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think
sorry for the kid with crutches who had to go off.
Yeah, so he went off, and then they brought him back, and then they kicked him out, and then I don't. Yeah,
and they were going, hurry up.
I was like,
He's on crutches,
especially with the broken foot, you know.
Never mind.
Just seeing how much he cares about it. Make sure that he's really wants it badly, you know.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a good series, though. It's been really exciting so far.
I'll be very honest. Louis, all the lads are like genuinely very talented. There's a very exciting bunch of solo males in there.
Yeah.
And in general, there's like it's every year you think, right, you know, what can they do this year that's going to be different and everything, but as I said earlier, the difference is there's always a new bunch of people, and you're always going to see that exciting person, and there's always going to be someone that everyone's like shouting at the TV going, how the hell did they get through, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's exciting this year, and as I said, particularly some of the male solo guys, I think we're probably the best category.
Yeah. Well, it is going to be good to watch, and you'll have to share your thoughts with me on the rest of the series.
Absolutely, yeah, no, I watch it all the time. I probably should be a bit more vocal on Twitter and stuff about my opinions, but I don't want to get in trouble with anyone.
No, you don't want to.
Yeah, it's very close to home for me because we know everybody on that show. So.
Of course. But no, Mark, it's been absolutely lovely chatting to you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll come in again sometime.
And best of luck with Mariah.
Yeah, very excited about that. It's going to be a very exciting Christmas this year, and I'm in a great place, and I'm happy and busy, and yeah. So.
Are you going to have your own diva demands to try and out diva Mariah?
Well, now that you've given me that idea, I might just do something to shake things up a little bit.
No, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks a million. Thanks for having me.